Everybody, it's Zach. I just wanted to give you guys a tutorial on how to use the incoming transmissions mod and also how to inject sound files into your Arma 3 missions to use if you're going to use that mod. Found it really difficult initially when I had no idea how to do this kind of stuff after like 7,000 hours of doing this game, never really trying it. And I thought I'd make a quick tutorial for some of these guys out there or gals that want to create missions with some sounds in there to boost the immersion and all the fun stuff. And I'll give you guys a walkthrough on how I make them in my missions, and hopefully you guys can take those and go forth and do great things with your missions. So kind of starting off, I've got a mission that I've been working on for quite a while. It's kind of a recreation of Halo 3's Crow's Nest with our own little strike company flavor on it. And feel free to join the unit anytime you want. It's going to be in the description. But anyway, this is really weird looking from out here. Obviously, you see that we've got like all these little miniature areas, very AAA gaming, blocking and, hiding the things you're not going to actually see. But all these areas are custom-made areas by moi. And players throughout the mission are going to go to them, and, you're going to have certain triggers play. You can kind of already see those forming right around here, like this little hangar area with that trigger. They'll go through them, and the quote-unquote AI is going to talk to them throughout the mission to kind of, boost the immersion, because everybody loves having that rather than, the Zeus just putting on a fake voice or putting on a voice changer and trying to role play very cringe-like during these types of missions. So that's generally why I like to do the incoming transmission mod. So I'll kind of start from fresh over in the field to my right, but this is generally what it looks like as a finished product. So we can start off with that, right? So you've got a trigger, which is going to be if anybody is going into it, so any player present, it plays the audio file. And then you've got the module that is connected to it, so you sync that object to the trigger. If you actually look at the module itself, you can make a portrait happen if you want. I'll show you how that works a little bit later on. You can change the name, whoever's talking. You can say what they're saying if you want, but I just put speaking locally, since in this one he's going to be talking directly to the players when they go up to him. And then you'll see the sound class name will come in later with that DESCRIPTION.EXE, because this is going to be calling for a track in the DESCRIPTION.EXE to play, right? And then obviously you can change the duration and what styles. The mod's really, really great, and it lets you customize it how you see fit with whatever, sci-fi or modern or whatever, theme you play, right? So again, the players spawn here, and as soon as they walk into this trigger, it automatically starts playing, right? From scratch, the way that would work is as follows, right? I would type in modules, incoming, or INC, bring up incoming transmission. I'll go to logic. I'll pull up trigger. Oh, actually, that's going to be in triggers. My bad. So you go in trigger, in the triggers right here. You click that, and you see that's the radius, right? Obviously, you want it to be big enough to where when somebody walks into it, it'll actually play, right? So I'll make sure I connect sync to trigger, okay? And then from here, it's all blank, right? But again, if I have, I'll get to this, but if I have an image named marine, right? I do marine.jpg, JPEG, speaker name, Sergeant Jenkins, transmission text, hello, right? And sound class name would be like track 01, track 02, something like that. So for easiness, we'll just do track 01, duration time, style, system, whatever, right? And that's essentially how you build it, right? Okay, that's the simple way to build it. If you're a little tech savvy and also you know how players play in some of these missions, right? You can get a little more advanced, and you can build something like this. Because I don't like it when players, accidentally go through a trigger before they're supposed to go through a certain area, I kind of leave that up to me as the Zeus to decide when that needs to play. So what I did is I kind of built this little custom composition, incoming transmission 1 through 7, where I have put these little platforms down and enumerated each one of them as to what track they're going to be playing. And what I'll do is I'll just tuck this away in the corner of a map that a player's not going to go to. And anytime they walk into an area where I would want the sound to play, I just go in Zeus and I teleport myself in, whatever Zeus form, because obviously you got to be a player. Obviously you have to have a player on the ground that you're playing as. You teleport them to this area and it plays that sound file, right? And then you can just do the next one, the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and the next one, right? Depending on what your description.exe is. If you want to expand on it and make like fucking 20 tracks, you can. But for the sake of our missions, I don't have anything more than like 7. So the description.exe that I've got, I think, has like 7 or 8 in there built into it. But you can always expand if you know a little bit about how to expand that. Little coding in there, but like nothing advanced. Okay. So that's how you pretty much build the triggers. Tell them to call whatever you want them to call. Again, that one plays track 1. And if I go over here to the next trigger that I've got playing, or the next transmission, okay, I've got track 2. Okay, it calls for track 2. Again, no portrait, because they're going to be talking. One of these people is essentially going to be, corporal person or whatever, who's going to be talking to them. And but you can make those portraits. So full send, I mean, it's going to look something similar to this when you actually hop in the mission and play.
Welcome to the Fight Strike Company. As you know, Covenant forces are laying siege to Crow's Nest as we speak. We've been successful so far fighting them off, but we're on the cusp of a full exodus. As I speak, we have our logistics elements preparing a full withdrawal from the base. We've essentially lost all combat power capable of holding her. That being said, we still have a job to do. I need you to move through the base and support any and all Marines you find. You'll be acting as our shock force to squeeze the last bits of time we have left. I know this is a tall order, but at the end of the day, someone has to act as a rear guard while the final key personnel are evacuated. You drew the short straw, I'm sorry to say. Move through the base and make your way to the exterior. From there, you'll dig in and hold off for as long as you can. God willing, you'll get extracted just before we lose this place for good. Now get out there, troopers. The Covenant aren't going to wait.
So there you go. That is the track playing when a player walks into it, right? So let me go ahead and go into my actual files, and I'll show you what that kind of looks like. So I'll go ahead and go into my Arma 3 directory. I'll go into MP missions. I'll go into Crow's Nest, and then Crow's Nest is the mission that we're playing. So this is that description.exe file that you're going to have to put in there, okay? I'm going to open that up with NOTEPAD, and you'll see all this jibber-jabber of CfgSounds and all that stuff, right? I'm not an expert on all that. I just know this is the script that works, and I'm showing you guys how it works, right? So that was track 1 that just played. This is the only thing you're going to have to worry about changing when you want to change the sound files and how they work. You just do that / name first.wav. So I got first.wav, which is inside the mission file, okay? I always use WAVs. There's other file types people say you can use, but .wavs work for me. And then, if I went through the mission, there would be those other triggers that play those incoming transmission texts. And again, they're just named what they are. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could do hangar, thanks, whatever. For the sake of this one, I just named them what they are. So this is hangar.wav. That is track 2. And again, you'll find that right here, hangar.wav. Okay. So that's what it looks like in your actual mission folder. I'll pull up another example, if we're talking about what you're going to see when it comes to images, right? So if you want to have a picture pop up when they're talking, obviously you put that portrait path at the very top of the incoming transmission. You would name it, like, for example, Crew 1, right? Which is just a JPEG that I took a screenshot of in Arma, and that's what pops up when they're talking, okay? So that's the easy thing to understand. But the simplest way I do all of this stuff is I use 11 Labs. It's AI generated, so those of you who don't like AI and all that stuff, can't really help you too much. Just get somebody to record for you, or do it yourself. Me personally, I like to go to the text-to-speech option, right? And then you can create, if you have your own account, you do have to pay for it. It's a couple bucks a month. You can do it for free for a while, but you run out of credits eventually. But if you do pay for it a little bit, you can create your own little voices. And if I type in UNSC, I got a couple of them that I've worked on. And here's the preview.
Dreams are the sails that carry our hearts forward.
Right, so that's the super cool and super deep preview that it showed. But if I wanted to say, subscribe to Zach on YouTube, right? I can do that, and then I can generate speech for a couple points.
Subscribe to Zach on YouTube.
Right, and there you go. And then also when you select the voice, you can actually change the speed, stability. You got to play around a lot with this to make it sound like convincing, because again, it's AI generated, right? So you work with what you got. But let's say that you download this. You got subscribe to Zach on YouTube, okay? So it downloads there. What I recommend to edit these types of things, okay, is you open it, you go to Audacity. I would highly recommend just using Audacity because it's very simple, short and sweet. Here you go.
Subscribe to Zach on YouTube.
Oh, hold on. Let me change my audio playback. Whoop.
Subscribe to Zach on YouTube.
There you go. But if you want, you can just go to Effects to give it a very short, cut and dry radio frequency kind of sound. You just take the bass away. There you go.
Subscribe to Zach on YouTube.
That's the simple way to do it. If you spend a little bit more time, obviously you can make it sound a lot better. But if you're, looking for a very quick, very easy way to make it sound like it's somewhat on a radio, just take the bass away, up the treble a little bit, good to go. And again, when you're done with that, all you got to do is just drag and drop that WAV, or even just export it straight from Audacity into your mission file. And then again, you're good to go. It's that simple. So feel free to let me know in the comments if there's something that you'd like me to expand upon on this. I believe, again, I simplified it pretty quickly, but if there's anything you still are confused about, feel free to ask in the comments. I'm more than happy to, expand. And otherwise, I will catch you guys on the next video.